Hello and welcome to the podcast. So the podcast, it's the only podcast that happens. That's right. It's this is that happens. And is that a new intro? I think it really rolls off the tongue. My name is Spencer here, and no Jeff, but I sorry that I couldn't make it to the last show. Jeff said he could handle it all on his own. He's a famous comedian, improviser, and so I'm sure it all went off without a hitch. Just an amazing show. Again, sorry I couldn't be there, but I'm sure you loved it. But let's think about moving forward today on the show. Of course, we have Kevin, and we have a guest that's near and dear to my heart. He's the jolly, I don't know what color giant. He's the menace with a heart of gold. He's the freaking swamp thing. I don't know. We got Derek Mears on the show. How's it going, Derek?
Hold on, I'm going to hold for applause at home. And that might be one of the best intros I've ever had.
I think maybe hold a bit longer for applause. I think we're still going.
Okay, wow, that's very flattering. Okay.
Oh yeah, no, our audience is great, and I love our fans. But yeah, thanks so much. I can't believe that's the nicest introduction you heard, but I can believe that you would say that because you're one of the nicest men on the planet. I don't know.
It's all a manipulation, my friend, because I try to be nice to everybody, but one person I'm a dick to. And that person's like, hey, I met Derek. He's a total dick. Then everyone turns on that person and they think they're crazy. So
that's amazing.
I'm not so nice anymore, am I?
That's actually kind of one of the coolest forms of gaslighting I've ever heard of. So, and that's right, folks. Today, it's cool gaslighting. And the topic of today's show, of course, is gaslighting, how to do it, how to get away with it, how to reverse it. When someone's gaslighting you, how can you gaslight them back? We brought in the expert. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. What are we going to do today? I know that Jeff is calling in. He's on the line. So if we have time for Jeff, maybe we'll talk to him. Right now we got a guest who's here, and we're gonna talk to him. So let's just start real. How's your day? What's up? How's your week been?
Everything's great. I'm actually a fan of the podcast, so it's wild. I feel like I've won like a fan sweepstakes to be on the show, which I think this episode is the episode that I won't listen to because I already know how it turns out. But the day's going great. My face is a little red. I decided, like a dum-dum face, to take a shower before doing this, and I'm like, oh, we are video. Way to go. So I'm not just blushing or shy all the time. It's just the hot shower and me being an idiot.
Yeah. So Derek, if you don't know, you're an actor, a stuntman, a voice actor, I believe, as well, right? Any other big ones?
Yeah, I'm getting into that right now. And on the stunt side, it's wild. I haven't done stunts for a while. But technically, for the half of my career, I did do stunts, and it's all been acting right now. And very, very lucky to do so. The phone keeps ringing, and keep waiting for it to end, but it doesn't. So I was just like, if it all ends right now, I'm very thankful to have been in all these different projects that I've been able to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm in a similar position where, I think the phone has stopped ringing, but as everything stops, I am, grateful to have been here. I don't, it's, if this is my lot in life, I think that's fine. I think I got it a lot better than a lot of people get it, so, that's all good. But I don't know, you're a person that I find really interesting. You obviously know Dan and Jeff. Jeff is actually a co-host of the show. You can see his face is on the logo.
Jeff.
Yeah, we're always looking at the logo of our faces. But how do you know Jeff? Like, how'd you first meet him?
Oh my gosh. When did Jeff and I meet? We met through improv. We were doing this national improv show where he played for the Los Angeles team. And at the time, I lived in Bakersfield, California, and I played for the Bakersfield team.
In comedy sports, right?
In comedy sports, yes. Every year they would have a big national tournament in Milwaukee in the beginning. And now since it's been in different states and different cities. But every year they have a big national tournament where each team would send their top players to do, it's basically a convention. And it's a way for it's like Bakersfield versus New York or Madison versus Los Angeles. It's just about taking workshops and meeting other people and having fun. And Jeff was on the LA team, and same thing with Dan and those guys. They were on the Milwaukee team. There's hundreds upon hundreds of people, and there's a certain group of us who would just kept flocking together because I'm like, oh, I like you. I like your style. You're a good dude. And we'd hang out year after year, and we were friends. And then eventually I moved to LA, and I got asked to join the LA Comedy Sports. And Jeff and I were performing together, and we eventually became roommates. And I've known Jeff, I don't know how many years now, since I was in my teens, I think.
Wow.
Which is crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. So I don't know a lot about Comedy Sports, but it sounds like it's a little bit different than like what I understand, like a Groundling style, or like, what is it exactly?
Yeah, quickly, and I don't do Comedy Sports anymore, but what it is, it's still going on around the country. It's a competitive improv where it's done in a sports format setting. There's like two teams of three different people. There's like a red team, a blue team, and they're the MC of the show or the judge of everything is a referee. So there's different games, like theater games. It's called short form improv. So you're doing quick games, like quick 4-minute games, each team, and then the audience will vote which one they like better at the very end. One team beats the other team, but there's fun fouls. Where like if someone, they try to do like a clean show or a family friendly show. So if someone says something dirty, lewd, crude, lascivious, a whistle is blown and a flag is thrown from the referee. And the person who said the offending bad thing will have to wear like a brown paper sack on their head. Or there's the apology foul. If you say something that's punny, I don't know, inane, stupid, that makes the audience like, groan out loud in agony. Like example, like they would do something like, did you hear about why the bicycle got out of bed late? No, why? No. Because it was too tired.
Oh no!
And when people groan, a flag is thrown in the air. It's all the spotlight. It's played like on AstroTurf as well, which is wild. So the spotlight turns out, and there's like a little batter's box, and everything stops, and you have to step forward and apologize to the audience for what you said. And you improvise an apology. And if they accept it, you continue on, no harm, no foul. But if you don't, you lose, a point for your team. But it's done as a competitive, but it's really just about putting on a good show and supporting each other. And it's really positive. And it gave me my start. And I've gone off to do other types of improv since. But a lot of good people, with their hearts in the right place.
Yeah, so so that makes it sound like it's more, they just use the trapping of sports as kind of like a thematic aesthetic or something. But do people get competitive at all, or is it just all funny?
So in anything, there's politics within any show or company, but some do, some don't. They have it's Comedy Sports with a Z on the end because the Z was hilarious in the 80s.
Oh, it's zany.
But yeah, that's how we all met, and it's such a weird thing now that with like Harmon and Dan Harmon and Rob Schraub and Jeff Davis, like that small little group have now moved out here to LA, and we've all kind of taken off in the different aspects and the different mediums of art here in Los Angeles, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know timeline wise, but I mean, you kind of started more in stunts, right? So did Comedy Sports somehow lead you into doing stunt work at all, or?
Actually, it's just the opposite. I started in acting. I got into acting in Bakersfield. I was doing improv in Bakersfield, and at the time, I was doing theater in Bakersfield through college. I was like, I could have fun. And I remember at one point I was talking with my mom, and she's like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I go, "Well, I don't know. I just want to. I don't need to be rich or famous. I just want to, make enough money to survive, and I want to play with my friends because all I did was like play Dungeons and Dragons all the time." And I go, "How do I do this?" And improv. So much of acting and improv are from that. Since I moved to LA. I'll be a little lengthy because I'll tie Jeff into all this.
Sure.
I moved to LA to do the acting. And when I moved to LA, people always think like, because, you're like 6'5" and 230 and you look athletic, like you're a sports guy, or, you did this your whole life. I go, oh no, I had like family martial arts growing up. And I did, sports in schools, but nothing, I couldn't do a pull up. I had like man boobs. I looked more like the kid from Deliverance. which is crazy. But when I moved to LA and was doing the comedy here and getting my bearings, Jeff was so gracious and helped me out so much. And I had friends here. We became roommates, and at the time he was working at Universal Studios as a walk around Frankenstein.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you guys know that at all?
No, but he has been like a Six Flags kind of actor, I think, right? Like a stage character kind of walk around person. He's talked about that, but I don't remember any Frankenstein. I'm sure he's talked about it, but I don't remember Frankenstein.
Yeah, it's so awesome. But one day he came. We were talking. He goes, "Hey, they're doing this audition." I don't know why I'm doing that voice. I gave Jeff charismatic Jeff Davis a tough guy voice. So, Derek, what's up? It's me, Jeff B. Davis, king of charisma. No, Jesus Christ, what am I thinking? But no, so Jeff came to me and goes, "Hey, there's a show at Universal called the Wild West Stunt Show, where it's half improv and half physical, stunts and physical comedy." And he goes, "You're so strong at physical comedy, dude." He goes, I think you'd be really good at this. And again, the guys that they were hiring for this part were like either giant, like heavyset hillbilly looking like monster dudes, or like Conan muscular, like ripped abs. And I was neither of those two dudes. Again, I was more like Deliverance, like, hey, comedy's fun. And I auditioned and I got hired I kept improvising because I also didn't know rules of things. And I'm just learning. And I'm like, oh, you're not supposed to do, when you're doing, you're not supposed to improvise every time. Okay. Right. So I kept doing it and I got hired full time. And that's how I came into the stunt part of things, because Universal would take actors and cross train them to do stunts, and stunt people, they would cross train them to do acting. And I was an actor and I learned to do some of the stunts in the show, but a lot of the guys there were aspiring stuntmen, and they're like, hey, we're going to go learn how to do a film fight or air ram, how to fall off this. Like, do you want to come? And at that time, going back to Jeff again, Jeff also turned me on to an acting class called Sam Christensen Studios, where it mixes the teaching of Joseph Campbell, the Godfather mythology, and Carl Jung. And he's like, I know how much you love mythology. I think you really like this. And that class changed my life. It's the reason that I have a career now, because of that class. And I would learn in that class because of Jeff. I was like, oh, I could be the big bad guy in TV and film if I worked out and trained. So I went and, had my stunt friends. I just going, whatever advantage I could have going into something, the better skill set, the more I think I could work. At the time, I got my SAG card doing straight acting jobs by themselves. And so I started making a name doing acting and stunts at the same time. And it eventually got to the point, career-wise, where I had to stop doing the stunts because Hollywood, for some reason, doesn't think you can do two different skill sets. Like either you're a stunt guy trying to act, or you're an actor trying to do stunts. I go, no, I can do both. Or people would say like, oh, you're a stunt guy who turned into an actor. I go, no, I've always been an actor, which is weird. But that's how, I had to stop doing stunts years ago. On some of the things, I'll do favors for, stunt coordinators where I don't credit me. I want to come in and do this because it's fun. And they're like, but I'm like, shut up, let's do it. But it's been great ever since. And I feel like I'm just so long-winded. I'm just talking about myself and I feel horrible about going me. But I'm trying to add Jeff to go.
That's what I want to know. I mean, this is the stuff, I know that when Jeff left, he was like, hey there, brother, make sure when you interview people, you gotta ask them the tough questions, So, that's again, that's how Jeff talks. We all know this. But no, it's super interesting. I don't know. I mean, what's stunt training like? Is it kind of like a martial arts class? Is it like
similar? Yeah. Because the show for the Wild West stunt show was something, you would train just for the stunts in that show. And you would, the audition process where they would, test you to see. A lot of it is just about body control and listening and seeing if you are trainable. And the stunt training, a lot of times, like, it's almost like you're a gun for hire or you're always ready to learn new skill sets and go. So you have a basic athletic ability, and like you'll find out like before I did Pirates of the Caribbean, I got hired for Pirates of the Caribbean, and they're like, I got hired as a stunt actor part, and they go, hey, I want to go out. I need to learn everything that I can about swords. I don't want to just learn that for the show. I need to be proficient in it. And, I have some friends who are just, the top of the line for a lot of these different skill sets. And so it's a normal thing where you go, oh, I'm going to go train for 3 months on swords. And so I know my stuff when we're going in, and I'm not, the one who's lagging, or because when you get hired, your job is to make the stunt coordinator look as good as possible because he hired you. And also some people don't understand the difference between the acting and stunts. It's very like white collar, blue collar, where as an actor, you can do what you want. You can have, if you're above the line, you can have your say because you're working on creating the character and having your character arc and what you want to convey. But as a stunt person, a lot of times, if you're a stunt member, your job is basically like a soldier. Is like, what's the coordinator want to do? Like, you're pre-thinking what he's going to do next to help him out. You're basically just answering to him the entire time to make sure that he is, he's the top dog and you're doing what you're supposed to do. But yeah, it's such a wild thing when people talk about getting into stunts. It's a lot of times it's having like an Olympic level ability in some sort of like gymnastics or martial arts. But it's also gotten to the point where there are guys who are all around stunt people, but there's some of the skill level is so high that, there's things like I would go and learn how to ride dirt bikes just so I can get to point A, point B, because if they're ever going to do any dirt bike stunts, they're going to get the guys who are doing backflips and can-cans and crazy stuff to do that. So I'm like, okay, so I had a particular skill set of what I could do and what I couldn't do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. Just a random thought. It popped into my head as you were talking. It seems kind of weirdly a little bit like, I don't know. I even hesitate to say kind of like programming in the sense it's like you kind of develop your own body of knowledge, but then depending on what programs they might like, oh, we need you to figure this out. Kevin is spitting mad. He is shaking his head. I guess he's insulted by this, but I don't know.
Kevin
it seems
hates knowledge.
But it's really interesting to be all like, no, you can do this, but at the same time, any given project is like, can I actually do this? I guess I'm gonna go learn up on my Python or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to keep talking about stunts for too long, although it is really fascinating. But like, I just want to know, like, did you ever do stunt driving, or are there any kind of stunts that you probably were involved in a lot of stunt fighting, I would imagine, right? So kind of choreographed fighting, but like, what was kind of your lane, or what did you like, or, the most?
My go-to was the fighting because my after moving to LA, I continued my martial art training where I was like, when I learned that like, I could be the big bad guy, I took every martial art class and style that I could. At one point, I was teaching Taekwondo, but I was studying so many different things like submission fighting, like MMA, judo, sambo, jiu-jitsu, It's cuckoo, but I wasn't a driver, any of those guys. Like I was a guy who could take the punishment, or like riding wires in the walls, or hey, you're 6'5", you need to lock your body out. You're going to pretend to get punched and don't protect yourself. Fall straight to your back to the cement. Having you have pads on, but they don't protect the impact.
Yeah, it's kind of like pro wrestling, where you still got to get hurt. You just know how to not murder yourself.
But it's just that like I said, the body control on a lot of the things. Like I wasn't I practiced some high falls, but I'm not a high fall guy because they have specialty guys for that. Because a lot of that stuff on the high end, like driving and high falls, like if you make a minor error, you could cost you your life and also somebody else's life because it's such a team effort. And when people talk about, I remember when I was doing stunts, I would meet people who wanted to do stunts. And they're like, I'm crazy. Like, I watched all the Jackass movies. I'll do anything. I go, you're never going to get hired because there's a misconception where these guys are out of control. I go, a lot of the guys are very intelligent, and a lot of the stunts are well thought out so meticulously, so that narrows the margins for error or someone to get hurt. Because it's kind of like Murphy's Law. If it's possible to go wrong, eventually it will, and you have to be able to be professional and aware of when it does to try to help. Or there's been so many like unfortunate events that would happen on sets, and being right there and having to think quickly in the moment blows your mind. But I have so many friends who are professional stuntmen who I don't say I'm a stuntman anymore because I don't want to take respect from them.
Right.
Though I did 1000%, I was a stuntman, because these guys, like in the old days, it was very like it was treated kind of with the cowboys, where like, oh, I got hurt, like nothing's gonna, sports rehab it more than whiskey. That's fine. But now it's kind of looked at more as a sport, and people are, training and finding new ways to heal themselves, and then at the high end of like basically like a professional athlete.
Yeah, and it's interesting to me that it's like it's got to involve a lot of visualization, which comes into play in sports a lot, because you got to go like, exactly what is my body going to be doing, and then how could what parts of the body or the set or the routine could fail, and then what will I do to make sure that no one gets more hurt. So it's like there's so many angles that you have to like understand, and that seems like it involves a lot of visualization. But the other thing I wanted to say is, like, we're both big guys, and I gotta imagine it just seems like being a large human is already kind of like taxing how our body's mechanics are supposed to function. It's like it seems like you're already kind of on the edge of, just walking around made my leg fall off or something. So I'd imagine like it must impact you more. And I think in Hollywood a lot of people are smaller or more towards average size, and I think that it's got to make it seems like it would be more dangerous or more injury prone if you're like a big guy doing stunts. Did you ever get any like injuries, or were you ever worried about that, or are you just like, I know what I'm doing?
It really varies on the person. Also, there's factors that you can't ever control, so you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I did get injured, but nothing like critical or anything big, like, broken little things here and there, or, like on Pirates of the Caribbean 2, I think it was. Like, there was a problem where, like, we were practicing ship-to-ship transfers, where you would literally grab like a rope, and we were like 20 feet up in the air, and we would swing like 30 some odd feet out, and you're supposed to rappel down with you have no safety on, but you would rappel down and land on another ship and immediately go into a fight scene with the people you're supposed to fight on the other ship. But there was one day we were practicing that. We were in the Grenadines, like kind of a third world island, and we were practicing. Rather than going onto a ship, we're going from a bigger ship and swinging out, all of us to and rappelling down onto an old dock for a rehearsal space. And we had these yard arms that we were all anchored to. And as we went out during one of the rehearsals, the yard arm snapped. And we're all at different locations close to the ground, or different heights on the ground. Some of us fell farther than others, and we fell. And there's like rusty, like I forget what they're called on boats. They're the tie-off pins on the docks. Like people hit those, and like I smashed my ankle. My ankle went sideways. One guy had on his elbow such a deep cut that his bone was showing, and we went to the hospital there, and they're stitching him up. But it was weird because it was basically kind of like a fancy. Not a fancy, but like a low end, and no disrespect to the country at all, like a low end, like a veterinarian's office. And like, we're like, hey, before you do that x-ray, can I have that metal thing to cover my personal area? So if I want to have kids in the future, that's possible. Like, oh, okay, cool. But like I said, some of these stunt guys, man, before, like a lot of it is just that mental fortitude. These guys are tougher than sin. And men, when I say stunt people or stunt guys, I mean men and women. Like, some of the women are like the toughest in the world, and like they're talented. But yeah, I've gotten different injuries and different things. Like you're especially the fights, and you're getting hit in the face or beat up, and someone's off. That's one thing. Also, going back to explain the difference between acting and stunts. I being from both worlds, I can kind of be the middleman between the the two. Like an example, like we did like a fight on one show, and one of the stunt guys, like, the actor won't do his choreography. Like, he's not opening the camera, he won't stick. And I go, you got to understand, we see things differently. I go, you're very, like mechanical, where like you're seeing the angles, you're seeing where the camera is, and your fight beats are this, and these are the motions I'm supposed to make. Where the actor, he has the same thing, but his is emotional. He's into the scene, and the reality that he's creating is real for him. So if he changes which would be bad for a stunt person, if you're changing a fight beat or you're moving, he's not purposely doing it. He's surrendering to his character and doing what's happening in the scene. And sometimes he doesn't know what's happening. So he's getting frustrated that you're not letting him hit his emotional, peaks and valleys. And I go, so you have to find that, that middle ground, like you to a fight scene, memorizing a fight scene is him memorizing his dialogue. So it's the same thing. They're different. There's basic like words, but you put them in different order. Same thing with a fight scene. There's different moves and different combinations that you do. So you're basically the same guys working on different sides of your brains and trying to draw that bridge together so it brings people closer so they can understand each other. We work better as a team and you get a better final product.
Yeah, well, that seems like definitely a unique, relevant skill set. You said you did theater. I've never understood what the term like theatrically trained meant, but are you theatrically trained?
Technically, yes. There are bigger schools. I went to college for theater, and I did like different plays and musicals. And the funny thing is that being that one of the musicals we did in Bakersfield was we did the musical Hair, which is ironic because I have alopecia and I don't have hair. I can grow facial hair now, but I had none at all.
Nice.
And having to wear a wig and do a nude scene and sing in front of people, like it was pretty cuckoo crazy.
Yeah, so alopecia areata is thought to be a systemic autoimmune disorder in which the body attacks its own antigen hair follicles and suppresses or stops hair growth. Do you have any comment on that?
Yes, I do. First of all, are you reading that somewhere, or did you?
I am.
Because you sounded very on point and intelligent, and I like that very much.
At a young age, I learned that if you just kind of have an authoritative tone, you can just kind of make anything sound real. It's not a good thing to learn as a young person. But I've come to embrace dishonesty.
Spencer, that's not true.
Oh no!
I'm trying.
Well, I believe it. I believe it.
Did it work?
It works. But yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. Is that something like that you think about? It says here that it's an autoimmune disorder, but it doesn't seem to manifest similarly to other autoimmune disorders in that you're constantly wondering what's happening. You're testing stuff to make it better. Like, was that anything that were you just like, okay, I guess I have no hair now? Like, because it happened when you were a kid, right? So you just kind of accept it.
Yeah, it fell out like when I was in like the 5th or 6th grade or so. And there's different variations of it where at the time was alopecia areata, where like different areas of hair would fall out. And they say it's brought on when mom A and dad B have certain genetic genes and stress causes it. There's been celebrities who have their hair loss because of stress, but it's only temporary. But it fell out, and it was a difficult thing in school because when you're younger trying to figure out who you are, the emotional roller coasters where, the hair would grow in, then fall out, then grow in, like, oh, I'm a monster, I'm different. And I was kind of that, like, people knew me at school, like, were like, the improv in all vulnerability became like a way to kind of cope with things. But with improv, it gave me a platform to go, oh, it's okay to be me because we all have something that we're insecure about. Either we're too tall or too short or too wide or too thin or our teeth are messed up, or it doesn't matter because it's who you are, and that's what's important. And so on my end, when I was doing improv, I felt so accepted and so loved by people. I used to wear wigs all the time, which is really funny looking back at it now. But I remember before in comedy sports, going back to that, one of the I would have my hair off and rehearse with everyone or kind of warm up with everybody before going to do the main show. And I remember going to go do the main show one night, and I grabbed my wig and I was putting it on. And one of the ladies that we performed with, she's like, "Can I ask you a question? Why do you wear that?" And no one had ever asked me that before. Mm-hmm. And I sat there and and I took it off my head and I put it back on its little stand. I put a little bandana on. I was so insecure about the hair. And I went, you know what? That's a very good question. And I went out and I did the show without the hair and I never wore it again. So it's a crazy journey, and taking that big leap to go to Los Angeles. Like I said, it could end at any time, but I kind of feel like in a way that it's, for me, kind of surviving and going through that. And there's so many other, we all have our problems. There's so many other worse things to have. And it seems kind of petty and vain about hair. But when you're younger and trying to figure that out and figure out who you are, it was such a joy to go, oh man, I'm so lucky to do this. And like, man, like anybody else can do this as well. Like, don't feel bad about who you are, because it's kind of like, I tie it back into D&D, where it's like, man, you got to randomly roll character and there's pros and cons. Like, that's just you. Accept who you are and play your game. How do you want your game to end out? Like, you get to be the one who's in control, and how it turns out, as long as it's you, it's true, it's never wrong.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, obviously, it's such a big deal trying to find your identity. Even if you're the most normal kid in the world, you're going to have all these struggles and insecurities and stuff. And then just anything that sets you apart from anyone in any fashion, people seize upon it, or even if they don't, it becomes a huge thing. But it's really interesting. I don't know. But this is a really random, weird question. But when you played a lot of D&D. When you play D&D characters, do they have hair?
Some do and some don't. Like, I definitely, yeah. Because when you're younger playing, you make, I think that you make kind of like dream version. Like, oh, here's this aspect of my personality. Here's that aspect of my personality. But it was never really like doting on that. It kind of gave me it taught me the lesson of to look beyond things. But now with the D&D, it randomly, I have so many different characters that I play. It doesn't.
Yeah, so for me, like, I love playing high charisma characters because I feel like I'm fat and gross. I have, like you said, I kind of have like an idealized, and have for a long time, like an idealized like fantasy version of myself that couldn't possibly exist. But like, it's kind of like me. I don't think I have facial hair. I have even longer hair, and it's like green, and I'm like way shorter and just really like I'm like average height and just really skinny. And so like my characters kind of come close to that in some way. It's not always the same, but usually my build is a lot smaller because, like, it's just like, well, if we're playing pretend, I want to be magic and I want to be hot. It's like,
for sure, absolutely.
So that's why it came up.
I wish they would like teach D&D as a class in school for kids, because it lets you play other people, and it gives you so many people have their own perspective or their own lens through things, and when they're forced to play something else that's not them, you're able to see through somebody else's eyes. And also, similar to like the tribalism, like, you get to test things out and go, oh, I'm normally quiet. What if I'm louder? Like, oh, and you're taking risks, but everyone is so supportive. And that, I mean, theater and D&D are very similar in that sense, where it doesn't matter what you look like, what your sexuality is, try something different and see if it's okay. Because it all is a game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. In 6th grade, I took an improv class. I had watched like Whose Line, so I knew what improv was, but I like never connected it to like, oh, I'm in an improv class, I could be doing comedy. Like, it was just never, it was not a connection that I made. It was just like, yeah, this seems like a better elective than like Spanish or something. But I don't think it made me good enough at improv to like justify it as a class. Like, that might as well have been like a D&D class. It would have been as helpful or whatever, and taught a lot of the same skills, maybe even more. So yeah, I totally agree with that. I want to switch gears really quick because the audience is very comfortable. We've lured them in with this false sense of security, and now it's time for me to scream at them again. So you've experienced this before, audience, and I hate you and I'm really mad at you. No, I'm actually kidding. We're not going to do that this time. But you deserve it. But no, I'm kidding. But what I do want to do is go into our classic segment, breaking, what is it called? Spencer's News Corner? Just News Corner? Is that what it is? So I'm filling to give Kevin time to pull up the sound so he can play it, and I assume he's probably about ready. That's right, it's Spencer's News Corner, and in the news, the Nazis are at it again, following the saga of Nazi parents trying to stop what they call CRT, which is to say what is actually just teaching about slavery in school. They want to get rid of it. Very Nazi thing to do. But while, in all this fracas, Senator Ted Cruz was seen defending the Nazi salute, saying that it's a constitutionally apprenticed thing to do. Like, oh, how can you get mad at people for doing Nazi salutes? Which is an auspicious suspicious thing for Nazis to say. It's like, what, you got a problem with Nazi salutes now? It's like, well, yeah, you're Nazis. Like, what aren't you seeing here? So yeah, I'm sure they're up to other hijinks as well, if you could call them hijinks and not, crimes against humanity. But that's Spencer's News Corner. So yeah, that'll do it. And that was Spencer's News Corner. All right.
I like that. Yeah. Well done, my friend.
Thank you so much. And thanks to Gastonod, who makes the music for the show. As always, I appreciate it. We talked to him really recently on some sort of DM, and, I'd love to give him money to make more songs. So maybe we'll try and work out an arrangement. I got to figure out a song of some sort, but that could be fun. But now it's actually time to take a short break and hear a word from our sponsors. Do you have any last words before we go to break, Derek?
I like you very much.
Awesome. I'm glad, because someone's gotta, and it's not going to be me, All right, but we'll take a break. We'll be back with more of That Happens. Who is there? I've been getting such good help for such a long time. It's in fact too good. But is there a way that I could get worse help? That's where Worse Help comes in. That's right. We're Worse Help, and we're coming to help you out, but not very well. But we charge you at cut rate prices for cut rate jobs. One of our technicians, Derek Craig, is standing by, who has this to say.
Hey guys, have you ever been by yourself and you wanted to have someone with you so you're not by yourself? That's where we come in. We're here to help. I'm Derek Craig, and I'll be your temporary friend for only a few dollars an hour.
That's right. Standing there commenting, an elbow to the ribs, just kind of hanging out in general. The guy at a construction site who just kind of points at the road to kind of tell motorists that there's a sign in front of the guy that's also telling them to move over. Any kind of job like that is kind of what we're aiming here at Worse Help, and operators are standing by. So use the coupon code taking that again. Sorry, guys. You can leave this in. We're all Worse Help guys here. But, you could use the coupon code Goblin Flakes for 20% off your first Worse Help job. That's Worse Help. And we're back. So yeah, hope you enjoy our sponsors. As always, we can't, maintain the show without sponsors. They give us tons and tons of money, and it costs tons and tons of money to do the show. So it would literally not be possible without the fine people at Worse Help, or, even Old Man Crittenden's Lavender Infused Lemonade, or the root beer. Lemonade is a different project. That's Old Man Crittenden's old lemonade, I believe. It's just lemonade that's old. But yeah, so I'm here. I'm with Derek. He's having a good time, I hope. And he certainly is good at faking it, if not. But he is an actor, so you guys can keep that in mind, But I just wanted to say that, so what you were talking about with sword work and stuff, it gets it to your Wikipedia is not super long, but it had a quote for Friday the 13th where you spent a lot of time learning about child development. And, it kind of makes sense knowing that you had this actor's approach first, but obviously you're a really contemplative, hardworking actor who does a lot of thinking about these roles. Do you do that with every role, or, are some that you're just kind of I get it, I'm just supposed to be a menacing guy on the street, or, how do you it seems like you have a very thorough process. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure. I mean, in general, sure. It's probably maddening to other people, but no, no matter what you do, it's always, I love story. I feel like my life is, I'm here to tell stories and understand why you're telling a story and what the parable is, or the meaning for how it's going to benefit people or our tribe. And by tribe, I mean our, the world. So I try to find the humanity in characters. I'm sure most actors do, but even if it's a villain, to find no villain ever thinks that they're a villain. Is what's their angle on that? Because we all play different roles for each other in our own daily lives. Yeah. It's figuring out, it's fun, similar to D&D, is figuring out who that character is. And so once you kind of map out that character, that's when you get to have that free playground to play, because no matter, I think it's an improv background, no matter what you're throwing at me, I'm still able to play, and even if it's off book or off, it's not the dialogue that's written, I can still play and go with somebody if they want to go off script or something. So yeah, I think so. And especially over the years now, since I've been so fortunate to play so many different iconic characters, that if it's a built-in IP that's people are already fans of, there's already an expectation. So I explained this on Swamp Thing, for example, where when you do an iconic character, it's almost like I'm a guest to somebody else's dreams, because people have their own personal relationships to that character. Like some people will be like, oh, like with Swamp Thing, like my dad would always, we weren't close, or we'd always watch Swamp Thing together, when the episodes came out and when the TV show, or we saw them every year, we watched the movie. So there's always some sort of personal story of theirs tied into a lot of these iconic characters. And so the idea is to be respectful, where you have to, do service to the people who are who have those relationships and the fans from the past, but also you have to take a risk for something new, for new fans being turned onto it for the first time, to hopefully draw them in for other, they'll be interested to check out the past. So it's a wild, teeter-totter or balancing act between the two, because again, like my job is just a lot of the iconic characters. I'm not going to be the last guy to play any of these iconic characters. So my job is, if the game is don't let the feather hit the floor, is to keep that feather up for the next guy. And so people are happy and they feel taken care of, because I've done it where there's a character that I love and someone newscasts, I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. And if I'm upset, or I'm not upset, but I'm like, oh, I'm disappointed. I don't want to be disappointed. And I don't want to give that disappointment to other people. I want to keep their positive feelings and memories of that character alive as best I can.
Yeah, so that kind of makes it sound a little bit like making some sort of adaptation, where it's like, you're kind of adapting it, but you're just adapting the character for your body. Or it also kind of reminds me of like being a mascot or something. Here's a weird story. I used to belong to a church that had, in my hometown, there was this thing called the 3rd of July event, which was like the 4th of July event, but pyromancers are cheaper to book on the 3rd. So our town would book pyromancers for a fireworks show, and it would be this big event. It was like one of the biggest events in the whole town. Everyone would come to like these big fields, and it was kind of like a festival or a carnival kind of town event. And our church would do outreach at the event. They had booths with face painting and like games where you can win prizes and stuff. And they also had teams that would hand out like branded water bottles with stickers saying like, come to our church and stuff. And I was tasked with being the church mascot, which, so if you think of Christianity, what animals come to mind?
Kevin, go ahead, fire away.
That's right. Polar bears are the first thing you think of when you think of Christianity.
Polar bears.
So I had a big polar bear costume that I would walk around in. It had like a shirt, because we also would all wear these red shirts that had like the church branding on them with the names and stuff, so people would know we were all affiliated. And so I was a giant polar bear wearing the shirt, and we would just kind of walk around, and I'd sweat really hard, and kids would come up to me, and most of them would want to hug me or be nice, and then occasionally people would want to poke at me and stuff. But nothing, you hear some horror stories. Nothing was so bad that I was like, these kids are causing me problems. It was just a lot of fun. But seeing through like the polar bear's mouth at these kids that are looking at you with this love in their eyes, that's like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm not a Mickey Mouse. I'm literally just like an animal costume, that's not attached to any greater meaning, but people just project this thing onto it. And it's like, so yeah, my job is just to keep that going. It's like, you already have this thing in your head. I have no idea what that is. I just have to not like ruin it for you. Obviously you have a clear mandate when it's a character that exists, but it seems kind of like that, where it's like, it's about preserving this relationship more than it is kind of, putting myself into this character. What's this character as reflected through me as an actor? What am I bringing to the table? How do I get in the mind? Obviously that stuff is part of it, but it seems less personal and more just like, we got to preserve what this concept is for the people who are going to ultimately see it. I don't know. Maybe that's not profound, but it seems pretty interesting.
You're on the right page. Absolutely. Because also, like, no matter what, like, if the three of us were to play like Captain Hook, we're all going to bring something different to it because of, our past and how, our personal stories that we're telling. So you're completely right about that. And also, do you have a picture of that, of you in that polar bear outfit? Because that would be lovely to see.
Yeah, I don't know. I wish I have like a book, like a photo album that was called. My parents had made photo albums of all the kids that were called the Book of Blank with the name. So mine was the Book of Spencer. I suppose that's like a religious reference, you know, to the Bible or something. But I think I have like a stripped down version of the Book of Spencer, but I don't think there's any photos of me. I could take a look, but I don't have a lot of like. It's weird. Like I don't know. I don't have a strong personal connection to my past. I don't have a good memory of my past. Like a lot of it is just gone. But like I specifically don't have a lot of physical memento ties to my past. I think my parents had those. I don't know if they still do. You know, they've split up and my mom's moved houses several times and my dad left the country. So I don't think he really took, you know, much of consequence, or if he did, I don't know that he has it still. So yeah, I don't even know where a lot of that stuff is. But yeah,
when you're talking about past, like, do you remember, like, remembering the past? Is it just like you don't remember like dates or like when things happen, or just actual events?
It's all just really foggy. Like everything from like high school and before that, I just have very little recollection of, and the few memories I have are mostly relatively negative, but it's mostly just like a big fog. Like even when I was in high school, like I couldn't remember like the first 3 years of high school at all. Like I couldn't remember my friends. Like I couldn't remember. It was just, it's still a very strange thing to me. You know, sometimes that's associated with like trauma and stuff, but there was never really anything big that happened to me that would explain it, you know, at least unless I've completely repressed it. But yeah, it is a very strange thing to me, and it happened before I started smoking weed, so I can't even blame that. Like that would make perfect sense. But like it really was a big deal, like big thing for me since way before that. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's weird.
I'm on the way of like I don't remember a lot of like dates. People are like, oh, on that date at this time. I'm like, yeah. Also, like with like I love music, but it's like your favorite band. Like, what's that song's name? I'm like, you know, the one that goes like this. I don't know. It's just the weirdest thing. So that's what's really wild.
Yeah, I also don't have a memory for that sort of stuff, but it's just like if I saw a movie last week, I couldn't tell you even the name of it. Like it's really weird, especially back then. I think like after high school, my memory's gotten better, like of those events. I have like stronger, but it's still kind of an issue. But I don't know, it's kind of weird. But so you know, you're doing acting and voice acting now. Like, do you get typecast? You know, or are there kind of characters that you kind of typically play? You know, obviously you have a. You seem like a guy whose typecast is very different than your actual energy. You know, like you seem like, oh, you know, fun dad to me. Like, but obviously you've been acting for years and years, and obviously I'm sure you're not getting hired for a ton of fun dad kind of things. Oh, you know, no. I would imagine more, you know, menacing guy on street or something. You know, I hope that's not insulting, but.
Yeah, it's kind of changed over the years. It used to be like I'd walk into like a liquor store and people would like grab their purses, or you know, they would like stare at you in the weird, you know, circular mirror, like making sure like there's not going to be trouble. But now it's kind of gotten to the point where they're like, I'll come in and they're like, oh, thank you very much. Do you get the officer discount? And I'm like, can I? I'm not an officer. Like that's
I mean,
weird.
If you're offering, yeah.
Yeah, I have like also like my normal neutral face is just pure murder. And like I could be thinking of like happiest things in the world, and I'm just thinking, and I've kind of adapted this thing where I get overly energetic or
performative.
Yeah, my voice gets higher.
Me too. Yeah,
because I'm like, it's because we're a bigger guy. It's that I think subconsciously it's that tribal appeasement signals. Like, look, I'm smiling. I'm not against you. Like Chewbacca's on our team. I'm not here to hurt you.
It's submission. Like it's, you know, dogs kind of will, even for a younger dog, they'll go on their side and present their belly to be like, I'm not a threat to you. You know, I think it's the same thing. I slump. I talk in a higher voice than is very typical.
Yeah,
you know, as a kid, when I was in like third grade, I remember a very formative memory for me. A kid half my size was running, smashes just directly into me and is like, watch where you're going. And then he looks up and sees me and is like, oh my God, please don't hurt me, and ran away. And I was like, he had this whole, you know, story took place. And to me, I was just like, oh, I bumped into a kid. You know, it's like, I never, but it's like at that age to be all like, oh, this is how the world sees you is like a really weird thing. And, you know, so like, a big thing for me is like when I'm walking around, I notice that parents clutch their kids tighter, or glare at me when I'm walking past. I've had people run into me on the street and scream as if I was going to accost them or something before realizing that I'm just walking down the street. And it's very hurtful, but it makes you realize like how the world sees you. And it's like, well, I want to project an energy that, downplays any of these threats. So I'd imagine something like that kind of happens to you too. I mean, I think I look more like a dirty, weird guy, but you look like you could be like just an imposing, dangerous person,
I do have a bad side, but I call it the Swayze Roadhouse technique, where it's always be nice until it's time not to be nice.
Yeah.
My life philosophy is no one is better than anybody else. Do what you love and try to get better at it. But respect people until they give you a reason not to. And I'm trying to back away from it now, where I had that hero complex where I'm like, oh, I've been kicked in the face by professional, UFC fighters. And like, oh, you're picking on that guy. There you go. Oh, I'll just step in and go like, hey, you need to settle down. Or at the bar, hey, my lady friend's she has a boyfriend. I'm sure you're probably not, understanding that you're making her feel uncomfortable. No, let's have a drink. Everything's cool. But I've gotten to the point now, especially with my wife, I go, hey man, so much of this, as I'm learning, as I'm getting older and older, like the male machismo bullshit that people put forward, it's just, a lot of the anger stuff is just fear and insecurity. So I told her, if something goes sour somewhere, where things have gone bad before, if we're out in the public, I'm like, please, I'm trying to put that, it's very hard for me to put that ego side away, going like, people can call me whatever they want, they can do whatever they want, but if they become physical, or, if something becomes, like if there's a danger time is about to happen to either you or me, and I go, it's go time, we will go. And I go, I don't want that to happen. I'll try to talk and get out of that, and I'll be cool about it. But if you cross that line, I've drawn that boundary, we can do this. But but ultimately, there's no reason to. If you can get out of it, like when I used to teach martial arts, there's such a huge insecurity in people, and they learn things from film. Like, this is how I'm supposed to act. I'm supposed to. Yeah. And a lot of people have never been hit before in their entire lives. Right. And there's no need for it. I'm sorry, I'm just going on a tangent. I just
I hear what you're saying. But yeah, I think that there's also like I think like for winding this stuff down, it's like often it's like just leave this person an out. Try and like present them without saying it, like kind of guide them down to path of de-escalation, where it's like, oh, this was actually my idea. I'm not taking this cue from you, because it's like you're saying, no one wants to get in a fight. They just don't really see any alternative in the moment, and they're so hyped up that it's like, God damn it, But unless you're a violent person, I think that generally you aren't gripping for that, and your body is just amping up in fight or flight, and it doesn't want to do anything. It's doing this that's making everything worse. So it's like you kind of got to step in and kind of help. Yeah, 100%. Give people an out.
Yeah, because people see things in different lenses, and a lot of times it's like, rather than arguing, there's a book that changed my life called Nonviolent Communication. It doesn't really have anything to do with violence, but it has to deal with how you communicate. Rather than trying to win an argument or a confrontation, you're trying to understand. And that was a big game changer for me. Like, I've been before where people are like cursing and like telling me like, you're this, you're that, you mother. I'm like, cool, what else? What? And as long as you can keep that cool. Like, now let's figure out why you're doing it. Like, obviously, there's something, there's a sore on you that either I'm reminding you of or I'm pressing on. Let's figure this out. And I've a lot of times, like, especially playing so many tough guy characters over the years, like that's basically my bread and butter is I'm going to punch you in the face and throw you out a window. I go to these conventions and I meet a lot of young men who will get that almost like animalistic or primal, like, yeah, dude, I want to bash someone in the face too. I want to fucking smash them and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I go, what you're doing right now is you're wearing a mask and you're not, saying how you feel, because there's that anger there, and that anger comes from fear. You can't have anger without fear, because when that fear hits, you're going to protect yourself, and the way you're protecting yourself is that anger. And so I try to de-escalate, going like, man, I go, I could have a conversation with you, and I could cry and tell you that you hurt my feelings. But also on the flip side, if things go sour, I could also knock you out as well. And I go, so you don't ever want to go there. That's your last card. But being able to express that, I'm just trying to reach out to going like, man, there's better ways to do this than how we're kind of taught without communication. Just try to understand the guy. Like if a guy like at a bar, like if someone were to walk over to you, Spencer, and like, fuck you, I'm going to kick your ass. Like, what are you doing? Like sitting next to my girl. And you automatically get mad. Go, I didn't do anything. What are you talking about? And now you're both jockeying for who's going to do what, or your threats or whatever. But when you find out the guy like just lost his parents, in an auto accident, and there's something personally going on with him, and you can relate to that and understand his emotions, and going, oh, you know what, man, I lost mine in this, and then you have a bond, and then people aren't able to travel, and some of us don't have teachers or people that we've met to help guide us through the difficulties in life, and they're only dealing with some of these pressure situations the way that they've been taught or know how.
Right.
So
conflict modeling from their role models or whatever.
Absolutely. So it's hard, at times to kind of put that in check and try to look for the subtext because you want to take it for face value, but you learn to understand with that book the way to listen, even if people don't know the technique, is listening and going, okay, I'm going to be able to come off non-violently and try to explain to you like what's going on, and we can try to find, a way to get out of this, because ultimately it's not worth, like, I've heard stories of like professional boxers getting in fights at bars and like knocking a guy out, and the guy hit his head on the curb and died, and the guy went to jail. The boxer went to jail because he's a professional.
Yeah.
It's not worth hurting somebody or taking their lives unless your life or your persona is threatened.
Yeah.
Look how serious. Holy shit. What happened?
No, it's
Jeff
cool.
Davis, that guy's balls are huge.
I mean, I like talking about real stuff. It's a lot more fun. But, I wanted to say that what you said, like anger comes from fear. At the Apple Store, I learned that, disappointment, upset, customers, people get upset when they have a misset, like when their expectations were not met. So it's like they have this expectation, it didn't come to pass. And then, and I think in a lot of cases that leads to fear, because it's like, oh, if this expectation didn't come to pass, then what else is that I have been assuming is true is also false. Like your whole reality might crumble, but also at the Apple Store, they taught us how to talk people down and stuff. I swear to God, it was one of the most helpful things in my whole life, just dealing with people socially, was the training at the Apple Store. One of these days, I think I'm gonna try and talk about it a bit more in depth with a segment I'm going to be calling Hardcore Backdoor Apple Store Deep Lore. So the fans can look forward to that. But it is like
that.
It's more than anything in church, which I think that church has taught me good lessons. I overall don't like religion. Whatever, people do whatever. But for me, I don't think it, taught me too much. But I think Apple Store did more for me than like anything else in understanding how people think, how to relate to people, how to have people mad at me. And I really wish everybody could go through kind of some of that training. But what I really want to talk about is Dungeons and Dragons. So how many games are you playing in now? Do you play? Do you DM? Do you do both? Like, what's your situation right now?
I'm a player in 2 different games right now, and we're both of them are on pause because a lot of the guys and ladies are in the industry, and right now people have different jobs that are just kicking back in. So we're trying to figure out times to play. But especially during this pandemic, playing through D&D, playing D&D Beyond, and through Roll20 has been the best thing in the world. Just setting the Zoom up and spending time with friends. Like that's been I haven't been doing improv, every weekend like I used to, and going out and socializing. It's been a really good escape for me.
Yeah, I haven't played very much D&D probably my whole life. I people have this perception of me as the D&D guy because of Harmontown, but outside of Harmontown, like I basically have played very little D&D. My games have been pretty infrequent. I've thought a lot about it, but as a DM, sometimes you do a lot of thinking and not a lot of actual playing. So I have a lot of insecurity about that. But during the pandemic, I played a few games here and there, a couple scattered times, and just those times were like, man, this is so great. great. And in the absence of being able to be anywhere, like this is such a great social experience in a way that like a general Zoom hang isn't, or something. It was just so good. And it's kind of like we were saying earlier that like D&D is just like an enriching experience that kind of helps people. Role playing in general, like even therapy involves role playing and stuff. And I think just being able to take off your skin or whatever can kind of help you understand things in different ways. And I don't know, it's just so cool. But so yeah, who are you? What are your characters in those two games?
The one campaign I play Braga Breton, who is he is a battle master fighter, but
nice.
My brain right now is not working. He is I play D&D all the time, and I haven't played for 3 weeks, and my brain is going, the guy who swims, like I forget the race of that. I'm losing my mind right now, and I'm
if
losing
they
all my
swim,
D&D cards.
Are they like a aquatic elf?
Yes.
I mean, okay.
I'm going to look it up right now, because I'm a freaking idiot. I'm very mad. Everyone listening is a D&D fan. I'm losing my D&D card. I tell you, man, lately...
Yeah, Derek's a fake gamer girl, is what we're finding out.
I don't know if it's because I've been hit in the face so many times in my life, or
can't help.
What, but my brain on things with references, I'm like, that guy from that who plays Frankenstein, the old, it's called, The Munsters, Derek. Fucking say it, you dum-dum.
Yeah.
But, the games are fun because I'm looking at the character right now, and I'll break it down for you. The games are fun because there's different, somewhat different improv shows. There's different kind of levels of like playing. Where, like one of the games is like dead serious, where like everyone, it's like a novel. Where there are comedy, the comedy comes from the situations and no one's cracking jokes or anything like that on purpose. But the other one is more like that, where it's more fun, and it's like, you're making jokes out loud and not playing like, oh no, Sir Ronald McDonald is here, and that type of stuff. But both are fun, but just different, ways to play it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I kind of have only ever played my way because I DM almost all of my games. And maybe with if I was playing with a Critical Role cast or something, maybe the game would be different. But I think a lot of it kind of comes from how the DM sets it up. But I'm super interested in all these other ways. Like I can only do it my way, but I'm very jealous of all the other ways people do it. It seems so impressive and stuff.
Yeah, it's fun. Like I did one of those. I've done a couple of charity events for like mental health, like at different Comic-Cons. I wasn't at the Comic-Con, but I would phone in with friends like Mark Meir, who's big into the D&D world. But I forgot the point that I was going to make. Like I keep looking for my character. I'm going, I don't have my sign in right now, and I feel like this is totally interesting, and it's totally
that's okay.
Stupid.
If you don't find it, that's fine. If there's any other D&D characters throughout your life that you favored, one of my favorite characters was like a rat sorcerer, a rat man sorcerer.
Yeah.
And he died, and I brought him back as like a villain. He was like an undead kind of sorcerer kind of guy.
I love that. It's always fun. Like I like playing like keeping things mysteries, where a lot of the guys I perform with, either professional writers or doesn't really matter, or improv artists, where like we'll make our own subplots or our sub things that happen, and the DM are so good. Like there is no error on their part, and they're just rolling with it as it goes. And it's just so fascinating to me. Like, and I feel so lucky to be able to play with these guys. It's so freaking cool. Like how they switch and just keep, the reality of what's going on. By the time I find this, by the way, it'll be the end of the entire show. Where I was like,
that could be fun.
This guy.
I mean, if you don't want to, it's totally fine. I just, I need to come up with questions and then say them to fill time. No. And so it's,
I just did a fun reveal thing where I had this character wear a mask, and we were starting off at level 1, where people didn't know what he was, and he was kind of quirky and weird, like a ranger, and they weren't sure. But then the reveal, 'cause he's very kind of scarecrow-like and weird. But then it was revealed that he was a reborn, which is the undead, where like a Frankenstein. Like people didn't know he was dead, and they're like, "What?" And it blew everyone's mind, which is so fun.
That's the kind of shit I want. Like, I want more character stuff. I'm DMing a game right now. But like, and you know, no offense to anybody, but one of the guys is like really getting into it with his character backstory, and I'm like, this is so interesting. But you know, I don't think we got there with. There's people are gonna fucking listen to this and they're gonna get mad at me. Whatever. Everybody, you're doing a great job. I'm so happy you're here. It's just an interesting contrast, where the one guy was. You know, really going hard into the backstory, because as a DM, I do feel like it gives me ideas to bounce off of. And it, like you were saying, it's like they're rolling with the character stuff they're giving the DM. Like that, like it kind of makes my job easier. And it kind of feels like I'm kicking more ass. If it's like, you throw this at me, I'm going to fucking throw it back at you. And it's like, holy shit, was that planned? Yeah. And it's like, you get these really great gameplay moments when everyone is really feeling their characters and living in them, you know?
And it's cool seeing what the different choices and how people play off each other, different dynamics. Like, so like I have my character now. So I'm an idiot, an absolute idiot. He's a Triton battle master.
Triton. Okay.
So he's he just came of age. So he's like 5'5", and he, like, compared to everybody else, he's kind of like that hero leader mentality. But one thing I was playing with him, which is cool, he had a high charisma. So for the Battle Master, I chose like the commanding presence and things that would boost, him being able to command. So now it's super high through the roof. Like, we've gone through battles where, like, talking are like we're going to get murdered. Like, we're so compared to like this like white like we're doing the Icewind Dale stuff right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, nice.
And like having confrontations going, we're going to die, but because of having the high persuasion and him being able to use his Battle Master. Die and add that to the persuasion, it adds it so high. So some of these crazy battles we've won just from interaction and politics, like talking and trying to get through. Going like, we would have lost we had a total party kill if this didn't go right. But it's so fun because like the way when everyone's playing serious, it's like you're watching a movie. And some of the like. I've got emotional and teared up at certain points because that's what the character's doing, and we've committed so much, and I love that moment because it's just all of us as children playing on the playground, but we've all agreed upon here are the rules, and everyone's playing the rules to their fullest, and I love those moments, and I love everybody else's characters.
Yeah, that's the thing that like I come back to is that when I was a kid, we played pretend. I played pretend a lot longer, and it kind of got more regimented and structured as we went, where it's like, okay, we're going to be Pokemon and we're going to be in the world of Pokemon and stuff. But it was kind of just like freestyle role playing, and I didn't know what role playing was, but then I found that out and I was like, that's what I've been doing, and then we keep doing it. But people stop playing pretend and then it becomes a childish thing, but it's like there's no, everything we do is pretend. Thinking is pretend. We're just inventing all this stuff and pretending it's real. But being in the world is pretending. It's playing a character. So like, I think it's so core to who we are, and it's such a good thing to experience and be involved in. But I don't know, I just it's just a shame that not everybody does it. But I think we're in a big D&D resurgence, so I don't know,
which I love so much. I mean, it's such a great like doodle pad for people to kind of to test things out and to play and go, it's okay, because you can make mistakes, like figure out you can figure out from story like how to navigate your own life, and now you're telling a new story. And you learn how to work with other people, in the work environment, and how to, bounce off, especially if you're doing like online with people you've never met before. The give and take, and some people are strong at something, but they're, that's another the big thing I think from role playing in general, because it wasn't just Dungeons and Dragons. Like I played so many other, like Chill, Werewolf, Vampire Masquerade. There's so many different other things.
Yeah.
But you learn that when you're making your character, here are the good things, but guess what? Superman is super strong and has all his powers, but also he has kryptonite. So the pros and the cons of people, and then it helps you get that self interflection to find out what are my pros and cons. And even a con, you learn it's not bad. It just defines who you are, and it's just the way that you were rolled. So it's like, either if you're uncomfortable with it, change it. If not, that's just how you are, man. Like we all have friends who are, to one person, they might be, overly, funny and energetic. But on that same radio dial, you slide over to the right, that same person becomes annoying and like won't shut up. It's like, shut the fuck up. So you kind of figure out where your radio dial is, and you're able to, maneuver that depending on the situation.
Yeah, a piece of advice I've heard from Mark Rosewater, a game designer who makes Magic the Gathering. It's one of my favorite pieces of advice or wisdom or whatever. But he says your greatest strength or your greatest weakness is your greatest strength pushed too far. So for me, that's like, I think that my greatest strength is being a freaking genius. So pushing that too far becomes I'm paralyzed by indecision. I overthink everything. I'm insecure and anxious as a result of thinking so much about everything all the time. And the cool thing about the wisdom to me is it helps you reframe things you don't like about your stuff, about yourself, as just an inevitable consequence of things that you do like about your stuff. I love the fact that I'm smart, and it's not all good. It's a mixed bag, but being able to be all like, oh, this thing that I hate about myself, maybe it's part of something else that I like about myself, and so I can accept it more, has been like a really cool thing to learn and internalize for me.
I love that, Spencer. It's so cool because it helps you like look at other people. Well, like I see people like talking down to people, like someone will talk down to like a server or like I need this or I want that, or a service person. I'm like, motherfucker, like a lot of us have jobs to get by, and that's not our own. It could be your skill set. It could not be your skill set. But similar to like role playing games, going, oh man, Spencer has a high strength. Like he's the one who's going to open the door, but when it comes to, picking a lock, I'm really good at dexterity. Like, I'll do that. And so it makes you look at other people and respect them in other aspects of life. So when I meet someone, I'm like, oh man, like we all have something special. Like what's special about you? And even if it's like, I love picking up garbage, like, it doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like if you're good at it and you love it and you're happy, you're a millionaire like in life. Like that's fucking great. So when people I see like I've done things like I shouldn't even say like I've met like like powerful people or CEOs or big producers, and I talk about stuff like this with them where I'm like, hey man, no offense, I go, your skill set, like what you're really good at is leading people in business and I'm putting things together. I go, but like if the zombie apocalypse happens, like there's no need for you. The farmers are the guys that you're talking down to. Those are the guys that are going to help us, or people are going to survive in that situation. I go, like right now, I go, can your lawyers or money, if I decided to physically choke you, which I would never do. I'm just saying like perspective wise, because people are used to everyone bowing down to you. If I were to do that, would you be able to stop me? No. I'm not being a jerk. I'm just making a point. And I go, so there's skill sets in different areas. I learned also, which blew my mind in school, that, back up. There are 7 different forms of intelligence. And I wish I learned this when I was younger, because I missed out on some of the school because of my hair falling out. And I was like, oh, I'm different and sad. Like I didn't want to go to class. But I learned later on, there's 7 different forms of intelligence. And in school, we only test for 2 of those. So there's like musical intelligence, there's physical intelligence, like an athlete. There's so many different ones that I'm like, oh man, it's okay to be me. And I try to spread that to other people. Like, oh, I meet somebody like, oh, Derek, you did this or you did that. I go, well, what do you do? Like, let me tell you this. I'll tell you a quick little story. If we have time, is that okay?
Yeah.
I met a guy at a con. He was like, Mr. Mears, like you did this. I like this film that you were in. So cool. I go, cool. Like, well, what do you do? I go, his shoulders slumped. And he was kind of forward, and he had like a child, like a teenage kid with him, which was his son. And he goes, I'm just the mechanic. And I'm like, brother, I go, stop right there. And I go, we all have our skills. And I go, when it comes to cars, I have no idea how to fix a car. Like that's your skill set. I go, when my car breaks down, you help me out so I can do what I love. Mine is to tell stories. And ultimately, hopefully, to let people know that it's going to be okay. That's kind of the purpose of story in general, is that you're not alone or somebody has it just as bad as you, so you can relate. So I go, there's no hierarchy. I go, so thank you for doing what you do. And this whole time when his dad started talking, this kid was kind of like, oh, Dad, like, come on. Like, and not very respectful to his father. But as I was talking to him about this, I noticed the gentleman started to pull his shoulders back and he started to stand up straight. And he's like, you know what, Mr. Mears, like I've never thought of it that way. Like that makes me feel really good. And then I go, so sir, I'm a fan of you for what you do as a mechanic. So thank you. And his kid, like the face changed and he's looking at his dad and he's like, before it's like, oh, my dad's being an idiot. He's like, oh, my dad's cool. Oh, cool. So that made me feel great because I honestly feel that we all have something to add. It's just kind of, some of us don't know what that is right away, but we can figure that out.
Yeah, there's this thing where people, if they're not like taught that like, oh, actually you can grow and learn and become better at stuff, you kind of go, I'm just this or I'm just that and nothing's ever going to change. And it's such a toxic mindset that we teach people. But at the same time, like there's something so magnetic about someone who's in their element, you know, doing something they're good at, talking about something they enjoy, you know, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just there's something attractive about that draws you in. And it doesn't matter if it's, you know, mechanicking or, you know, picking up garbage or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it looks like we're out of time. Do you have any last minute things to plug?
Oh, if you get bored, I have my own social medias. It's my name, Derek Mears, on all of them, like on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. If you want to, I have it open to the public because like everyone can look and see. I have nothing to hide. Like I'll interact with people and have fun. I have a project on Netflix coming out at some point. I don't know when it's going to come out though. That's called Guardians of Justice. Like you'll probably dig it, Spencer, knowing what you like. It's like a superhero satire, but it switches genre of like animation. It'll start off like in live action, and then it will go into like Japanese animation or anime. Then it will switch to like claymation. Then it will switch to like video games, but telling a through line. Pretty cuckoo and crazy, but it was just playing it got accepted and aired at the Cannes Series Festival, which is super fun. So yeah, that'll be out very soon.
Yeah, so check that out. You know, whatever. I don't really have anything to plug. I just have one last question, which is, would you ever want to come and play D&D with us on the podcast sometime?
Are you kidding me? Whenever you want me, I would love
Awesome. Well, we've been really champing at the bit to get Kevin like a full D&D episode, but I need more people to play off of Kevin, I think. So, you know, we might have to bring you back for that. I think the fans might dig that. But yeah, so I'll just kill the show. Thanks so much, guys. You know, go with God, shit with Satan, don't smoke bath salt, and have a good foot.
Thank you, everybody, and also happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween,
everybody.
Woohoo!
Starburns Audio.